All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about a massive financial story unfolding in India, a real revolution in mutual funds. And this isn't just about stocks and bonds. It's a story that's reaching into millions of homes and completely changing who gets to build wealth. So let's get into it.
I want to start with just one number, 9, as in a nine-fold increase. In less than 20 years, the amount of money managed by India's mutual fund industry has exploded by 9 times. That isn't just growth. That's a rocket ship. So you have to ask, how did this happen? And more importantly, who's behind it?
Okay, so first, let's unpack the boom itself. This whole thing didn't just appear out of nowhere. For most of its life, this industry was a slow burn. But then, in the last decade, somebody lit the fuse, and that little spark turned into an absolute wildfire of investment.
You can see the story right here in the timeline. It's really a tale of two different speeds. The first mutual fund, it launched way back in 1964, and it took a full 50 years, all the way to 2014, for the industry to hit that big 1 trillion rupee mark in assets. But then, you look at just the last 10 years, and bam, the whole thing just shifts into overdrive. This is a modern phenomenon, through and through.
And to put that speed into perspective, look at this. India's industry has been growing at almost 15% every single year for the past 5 years. That's nearly double the world average. So India is not just playing catch-up anymore, it's actually setting the pace. But this kind of growth, it doesn't just happen. It's being powered by a whole new type of person.
So, we've seen the what, this incredible growth. Now let's get to the who. Who are the actual people, the investors, driving this massive surge? And as it turns out, the answer to that question is changing the entire financial DNA of the country. Well, for starters, investing is not just a big city game anymore. The money coming from outside India's top 30 cities, what the industry calls B30 cities, has jumped from about 15% to almost 20% of the total in just 5 years. This is what it looks like when wealth creation spreads from the metros out into the heartland. It's financial democracy in action.
And check this out, another huge shift in who's investing. Today, 1 out of every 4 new investors is a woman. Now that's not just a statistic, that's a sign of a really profound social change happening. It points to more financial literacy and, crucially, more economic independence for millions of women.
And all of this leads to a really important point, summed up perfectly by the chairman of India's Mutual Fund Association. For decades, the Indian market was at the mercy of foreign money coming in and out. Now, for the first time, it's the steady, long-term savings of regular Indian households that are becoming this incredible stabilizing force. It's building a more resilient economy from the inside out. So, what's the one thing that's making all of this possible? What's the engine? It's technology. It's that simple. A staggering 90% of all mutual fund transactions are now happening digitally. This has just obliterated the old barriers to entry. It's changed who can invest and how they do it.
You know, the best way to think about it is with UPI. Remember how UPI just completely changed the game for digital payments, making it easy for practically everyone? Well, that's exactly what's happened with investing. These new platforms have made it so simple, so paperless, that investing in a mutual fund is now almost as easy as ordering a pizza online.
But look, getting millions of people to open an account is just the beginning. That's only part of the story. The industry is starting to realize that the next great challenge isn't just about growing numbers. It's about a much deeper mission, moving past simple access and toward genuine financial well-being.
And this forces us to ask a really fundamental question. We've achieved financial inclusion, right? We've given millions of people a seat at the table. But does that automatically mean they have financial well-being? Is just having an account the same thing as having security and freedom?
The answer is no, you have to aim higher. Financial well-being isn't just about having money in an account. It's about having control over your day-to-day finances. It's about being able to handle a surprise emergency. It's about having the freedom to make choices about your life and having a clear plan to get where you want to go. So you can think of it like this. Financial inclusion, that was the starting line. It was about opening the door and getting people in the race. Financial well-being, that's the finish line. It's about making sure people have the skills and the tools to actually win that race and build a better life.
And this number right here, wow. It just shows you how big the challenge and the opportunity really is. With all this incredible growth we've been talking about, fewer than 5% of all Indians actually invest in mutual funds. Reaching that other 95%, that is the industry's next great mission. So, what's the game plan?
Well, they've laid it out. It's called Mission 2047. And it's a super ambitious roadmap, a vision for what India's entire financial world could look like by the time the country celebrates 100 years of independence.
And when I say ambitious, I mean it. Just look at these goals. The plan is to grow the number of investors by nearly 6 times, to take penetration from a tiny 3% of the population up to 15%. But the boldest goal of all, to grow mutual fund assets to a point where they are actually larger than the country's entire GDP. That would put India in the same league as the most financially developed nations on the planet.
So how in the world do you pull that off? The strategy really comes down to 5 common sense ideas. 1. Make the products dead simple to understand. 2. Make them relevant to people's actual life goals. 3. Go out and reach the people who've been left behind. 4. Shift the culture from just saving money to actively investing it. And 5. Make sure that digital access gets to every last person in every last village.
Let's make this real. This strategy comes to life with people like, let's call him Ramesh. He represents millions of people in smaller towns who think investing is way too complicated and risky. For a guy like Ramesh, the answer isn't some complex chart. It's simple, trustworthy advice, in his own language, that gives him the confidence to start small and plan for his family's future.
And then you've got someone like Neha. She's a young professional, she's got savings, but she doesn't really have a plan. For her, the key is technology that can connect her money to her actual life goals. It's about tools that turn her from just a passive saver into an active, empowered investor who knows exactly what she's building towards.
So, the mission is set, and the ambition is absolutely huge. The journey from just opening accounts to creating real financial well-being is on. The big question, the one that really matters, is this. Will this revolution truly become a story of wealth creation for all Indians, not just for a select few? That's the story we'll be watching.